You're listening to The Jake Asman Show on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
Let's get things rolling right here on a Monday morning. Jake Asman with you. This, of course, is The Jake Asman Show. Ron Cover is producing, and we're getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. And this time of year, it is really tough to know what's real and what's not real. It is really tough to get an idea on what a specific team is going to do outside of the obvious, right? We know Trevor Lawrence is going 1. We know Zach Wilson's going 2. But your guess is as good as mine what the Niners are going to do. At the beginning of all this, I bought into Mac Jones being the guy. But now I'm not so sure. Now I don't know what the Niners are going to do. I'm just going to say it. I can tell you what I think they should do. But this is Lion season, as Trey Wingo put it on our show last week. A lot of what's out there is being leaked to specific reporters to try and change the narrative or drive up the price on a potential draft pick. Let's use the Atlanta Falcons as an example. Atlanta Falcons leaked it out there to the media that they're all in on evaluating Trey Lance, and they could go quarterback in that 4th spot. Do we really think that, or is Atlanta putting that out there to try and drive up the price for the 4th overall pick? You know, make a team get desperate and give them more for that pick, because you got to believe, if you're a team that's trading up, that if you don't make the deal with Atlanta, the player you want will be gone. So it's Lion season, right? That's just one specific example, but there are tons that we can assess over the years on what was said by one particular team and then what that particular team actually ended up doing. The latest rumbling is that the San Francisco 49ers are very intrigued by quarterback Trey Lance. Very intrigued with what Trey Lance could potentially be at the NFL level. And if you just look at it big picture, Trey Lance, in theory, makes sense for the Niners from the standpoint that if they want to take Trey Lance, he's considered more of a project than some of these other guys coming out. So if you're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo for a year, he could sit behind Trey. Garoppolo could be the starter, and Trey Lance could sit behind him and then make that transition at some point next year. In theory, that makes sense. But I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. To me, the Niners pick will come down to Justin Fields or Mac Jones. And I don't understand how, if you're the San Francisco 49ers, Justin Fields is not your pick when you're sitting there with the 3rd overall slot in this draft. How can anyone argue Trey Lance before these guys when he's played 1 full season as a 19-year-old kid at an FCS school? And a run-first offense, oh, by the way. Where you have Justin Fields, who has been a big-time starter in a big-time conference and has played in big-time games, including a game against Clemson where Justin Fields was 22 of 28 for 385 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's 6'3", 227 pounds, arm talent, athleticism, a 40 time in the mid-4s. I mean, Justin Fields is your prototypical modern-day quarterback. Trey Lance might be good, but how can you take a guy that's played 1 game over the last 2 years before you take Justin Fields? I just don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. And what's crazy about the Justin Fields slide is that if Fields doesn't go 3 to the Niners, he's going to end up potentially being the 4th quarterback taken. How's that possible? So you want to tell me that Zach Wilson should go before Justin Fields? I'm all for that. In fact, I'd agree with that. I'd be good with that. But how is Justin Fields continuing to slide down people's boards? It doesn't make any sense to me. What am I missing? Did this all start when Dan Orlovsky was on Pat McAfee's show and he referenced some sources that told him that Fields' work ethic is not great, that he heard Fields is a last guy in, first guy out type of quarterback? Is that where this started? That he doesn't have a desire to be a great player? I mean, do we forget that Fields was the reason why the Big Ten changed their mind and actually played football? I mean, we just look for reasons to nitpick these players. When Justin Fields did it at a big-time school in a big-time conference, you know, we nitpicked Deshaun Watson to a point where Trubisky went before Fields. Or Trubisky went before Deshaun Watson. We nitpicked Justin Herbert because he wasn't as good in his senior year. And, oh, you know, He's got the long hair. He's too laid back. He can't lead. How's that working out? Herbert, if he could do it over, would probably be the first guy taken right now. So we nitpick these quarterbacks this time of year. And the nitpicking of Justin Fields. So what? Trey Lance can go before him? That to me would be crazy. I don't understand how you could argue Trey Lance before Justin Fields. You know, I'm by no means a scouting expert. When I watch both these guys play, they both look like athletic freaks. But one did it at FCS North Dakota State and played one game this past year. The other one did it at Ohio State. Against great competition and in a big game, balled out against Clemson with busted ribs and came back from injury. So if the Niners want to take Mac Jones, I'd question it. But I've said all along, look, Kyle Shanahan knows more about quarterbacks than me. He knows more about quarterbacks than you. Mac Jones does kind of remind you of some of the other quarterbacks he's worked with that he's had a lot of success with. But I don't get taking Trey Lance before Justin Fields. That I don't understand. You can't convince me otherwise on that. I just won't listen. I won't believe you if that's the case. Won't believe it. But it is Lion season. And you kind of wonder where we're headed with all these quarterbacks right now. I mean, could we get the scenario where it goes 4 straight right off the bat? I mean, it certainly could. What's the weirdest thing that could happen at number 4? Atlanta trades out and someone comes up to get Lance? Is someone coming up to get Fields at 4? I mean, the reality is quarterbacks get overdrafted now every single year. But it would be pretty crazy if the first 4 picks in this draft go QB, 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 QB. I mean, who are some of the other teams that are going to come up besides Denver that we keep hearing about? New England, are they really coming up all the way to number 4? Would Chicago or Washington maybe come up for a quarterback? And what I know about this draft, less than 2 weeks away, is that there's going to be a non-quarterback that's going to slide in this class that we're all going to be scratching our head years from now being like, really? That player fell this far? And that might become the new norm because teams are always desperate for quarterbacks. Teams are always desperate to try and find a franchise signal caller. So guys will continue to get overdrafted. Remember the 2018 class, how special that was supposed to be? Has it been that special? Lamar Jackson's won an MVP. Josh Allen looks like he's elite. Josh Rosen's already a bust. Baker Mayfield is, above average? Good player. I mean, statistically, we're going to look back on this class, and more likely than not, 3 of these guys won't be very good. Or 3 of these guys will be average to below average. Maybe 1 will be a big bust. 1 will be pretty good. 2 of these guys might be Pro Bowl level players. That's just how it goes. If there's one trend we're now noticing over the last couple of years, is that quarterbacks will continue to get overdrafted. We had 3 guys go in the top 6 last year. We might have 4 guys go in the top 4 potentially this year. So I laugh when I hear, well, Jake, you got to get your quarterback now because the class will not be that good next year. Are we sure about that? What was Zach Wilson a year ago? What the heck was Joe Burrow before his senior year? Kyler Murray wasn't supposed to go first overall. He's supposed to play baseball. Baker Mayfield wasn't supposed to go first overall. He was a mid-round pick. So it just shows you, when we say, you got to get the quarterbacks now, that's not necessarily true at all. Because guys get overdrafted all the time. That continues to be a trend here. And I think teams just try and outthink themselves. If I'm the Niners, I'm taking Justin Fields. I'm taking Justin Fields to get it at Ohio State against great competition. Who balled out in a playoff game against Clemson with a bruised rib. Oh, he maybe doesn't love football. Oh, you mean the guy that rallied the Big Ten to actually reverse their idiotic decision to not play? Michael Lombardi, who is well connected in NFL circles, he guaranteed that the Niners aren't going to go Justin Fields. Guaranteed it. Justin Fields is not going to go number 3. That's what I heard. I love people on Twitter who are like weatherman. Seriously, where are you getting your information? You got better sources than me? Good luck. I'm telling you, if it's not Mac Jones, it's Trey Lance. So if Justin Fields slides past number 3, I think if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I might take him. That'd be the only player I would take it for. If not, I would trade out. And if I really had to take a player, I'm going to go get Kyle Pitts, and I'm going to go score a lot of points with Matt Ryan, Julio, Ridley, and then a 2 tight end set with Pitts and Hayden Hurst. That's a lot of points right there. So we're less than 2 weeks from this NFL draft. We're what, like 10 days now from the NFL draft? It's April 19th. Draft's on April 29th. So we're getting close. And the draft still starts with the Niners at number 3. What do you think they'll do? 800-224-2004. What do you think they should do with that 3rd overall pick? If it's me, I'm taking Justin Fields. But I guess in Kyle Shanahan we trust. We shall see. You can find me on Twitter at Jake Asman. That's Jake A-S-M-A-N. We could stay with this topic in the next segment. Plus, Trevor Lawrence. He's clarified those comments that he made to SI. Damage control, or was he actually just taken out of context? We'll get to that next. Jake Asman with you. It is a Monday morning right here on Sports Map Radio.
Pushing the odds